Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you at St James's Park, where it's finished Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. What a fabulous performance this was from Arsenal. Brilliant win. Amazing game, honestly. One of the games of the season to be at. The atmosphere in here, I mean, this place is loud at the best of times, but this was proper raucous in here today. And just a thrilling game, end to end, both teams going for it. Referee was dreadful, let play go, and I think that sort of certainly added to the atmosphere. Home fans weren't liking it, the away fans weren't liking it. Neither team were liking it, and it just sort of built up into this big crescendo of it was almost like a cup match. It was a really big afternoon for Arsenal, and to come through it the way they did, to stand up to the physical test the way they did, was really impressive. I have to admit that I honestly came here today expecting Arsenal to lose. I wasn't feeling confident at all. We all know what happened here at the end of last season, and I just thought it was going to be quite a similar game today to that one. Newcastle are a better team than they were then. Arsenal obviously are a better team than they were then as well, but I just kind of looked at it and I thought the way how physical Newcastle were going to go and how direct they were going to play, I did worry about it, especially after the way Arsenal sort of failed completely to deal with the physical game against Manchester City, and I thought that they were going to struggle, and they didn't. Well, they had to fight, they had to ride their luck a couple of times, but that was a proper performance this from Arsenal. We just spoke to Mikel Arteta downstairs and sort of asked him how he was feeling after a win like that, and he said, I think the word to sum it up is pride, and you can understand why he was proud of that performance, and you could see what it meant to the players at the end. Martin Odegaard was speaking afterwards, and he said what they went through here at the end of last season was one of the toughest games of his career, the toughest nights of his career, and they wanted to put that right, and they certainly did put that right today. And given the sort of context of the situation as well, if Arsenal dropped points here, I think that's it, title over. It's looking unlikely as it is, but if they had dropped points here today, that would have been it, definitely title over, and they knew that, so they had all that pressure to deal with as well, and they dealt with it really well. Honestly, it's like they were one of the best performances of the season for me. I asked Mikel that just now in his press conference, and he said right now it feels like the best, but there have been others, and there have been different performances. The way Arsenal went and controlled things at Stamford Bridge, the way they went and ran the show at Tottenham, this was different. They had to really stand up to a proper physical team in Newcastle who kicked them all over the park, and they did it. They stood up to it. You know, everyone played their part. Aaron Ramsdale went brilliant save. Well, he's brilliant throughout, but he made one fantastic save in the second half at 1-0 to keep out Fabian Schär's header. Granit Xhaka produced one of the blocks of the season to deny Joe Willock, which looked like a certain equaliser. You know, big players in big moments, they stepped up when they had to, and that's kind of just summed up the whole performance, I think, from this one. It was just a real collective team effort. Everyone was together. Everyone looked determined to get over the line, and Martin Odegaard was sensational again. He was the man who opened the scoring once again. That's 15 goals for him in the Premier League now this season. That's the most, joint most by an Arsenal player ever in a single Premier League season, equaling from a midfielder, that is, equaling Cesc Fabregas's record from 2009-2010, I think. And you know, Arsenal were really under the cosh at that point. They were Newcastle started well. They'd hit the post. They had a penalty that was awarded and then ruled out for VAR for handball on Kivior. And it looked like a matter of time before Newcastle were going to score, but Odegaard then just stepped up, scored the goal, and that settled Arsenal down, and they were brilliant for the rest of the first half. Then they had so many good chances. Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli all had good chances they didn't take, and he thought, oh no, are they going to live to regret those missed chances? Then in the second half they had to ride their luck. As I said, a brilliant save from Ramsdale to deny Schär. Isaac hit the post with a header as well, and it was just right on a knife edge. It felt on a knife edge the whole game. And then own goal by Fabian Schär after some good work from Martinelli, and that kind of gave Arsenal that second goal that they were looking for, and they saw the remainder of the 15 minutes out relatively comfortably, although, you know, Newcastle were pushing. Newcastle were angry. They thought Arsenal were time wasting and managing the game and going down it, which made me laugh considering how Newcastle played against Arsenal at the Emirates just a few months ago. But yeah, they were clearly not happy with the way Arsenal managed the game, but from an Arsenal point of view they managed it absolutely perfectly, and that's been a big criticism we've had of Arsenal at times this season. Could they have managed games better? Could they have got themselves over the line better? And they did that today under real pressure at a very difficult place to come. Newcastle only lost it once all season. That was against Liverpool when they had 10 men for about an hour, I think, or 70 minutes. So this was a big performance from Arsenal and a big win. It moves them 1 point behind Manchester City. It gives Pep Guardiola some problems. I bet he would have been looking at this and thinking, you know what, they might drop points here, but they haven't, and now that kind of means that they have to go to Everton next week, which is sandwiched in between the two Real Madrid games. Guardiola can't really afford to rest any of his players, so it gives him a few problems to think about, and it just shows Manchester City that Arsenal aren't quite ready to give up on this title race just yet. City is still in command, they're still favourites, but Arsenal are showing they're not ready to wave the white flag yet, and that's all they can do. That's all they can do, and to come here and win on the back of the Chelsea victory as well, they deserve an awful lot of credit. 6 points from 6 from those 2 games. As I said, they can just do what they are continuing to do. Alright, player ratings time from me. There's going to be a lot of good ratings in this one because there were so many top performances from Arsenal individually and collectively as a team. Aaron Ramsdale, first of all, 9 out of 10. What a performance, made so much. I mean, he could really have got 10 out of 10 to be honest, because he didn't really put a foot wrong. So I probably should give him 10 out of 10. Made so many good saves. Well, not so many, but he made some big saves at key moments. And then the one from Fabian Schär was just absolutely incredible. To get it was impressive because it was from so close range, but then to have such strong hands to actually claw it out as well. Really, really good. But it wasn't just about shot stopping. The way he was claiming crosses under so much pressure, you know. Newcastle were piling long balls into the box and he stood up to it well. He claimed, he eased the pressure on his defenders. It was just a top performance round. Ramsdale deserves an awful lot of credit. I've given him 9 out of 10, but he can probably count himself a little bit unlucky not to get a 10 out of 10 for that performance. Ben White did alright, 7 out of 10 I gave Ben White. All the defenders played pretty well apart from Zinchenko, who struggled. I'll get to him in a minute. But White was up against Alexander Isak, who can cause anyone trouble, but he played pretty well, I thought, Ben White, so I gave him a 7 out of 10. 2 centre-backs I gave 8 out of 10, really good performances. Kivior again looked really good. I think after Chelsea we were like, well, he looked good, but he wasn't really tested. He was certainly tested here today, and he passed that test with flying colours. Really good performance. Again, makes you think, why didn't he come into the team earlier? But all in hindsight, I suppose, but really good from Kivior under a lot of pressure. 8 out of 10 for him. Gabriel as well. Shook off that injury issue before the game and played really well, was very commanding. He gets 8 out of 10. Zinchenko 6 out of 10. He struggled. He had a really bad first 10 minutes and then he settled into the game a little bit, started playing when Arsenal had more of the ball. He was looking pretty good, and then he struggled again at the start of the second half when Newcastle put some pressure on. Got absolutely done by Jacob Murphy for the cross that ended up with Isak hitting the post. He got taken off pretty soon after that. So 6 out of 10 for Zinchenko. Might be worth taking Zinchenko out of the team at the moment. I don't think he's playing that well, and I thought Kieran Tierney, when he came on, played very, very well as well. I gave Kieran Tierney 7 out of 10 actually from the substitute bench. Jorginho, excellent. I thought Partey would come back in for this one, but he didn't. He stuck with Jorginho. I thought it was a really good performance from him. He got man of the match from Sky. I didn't quite think he was man of the match, but I thought he was very, very good. And yeah, I do wonder now. I don't think I'd be surprised if Partey starts another game this season, because Jorginho's come in, played very, very well, and yeah, played excellent today. Moved the ball well, stood up to the physical test, which was one thing you wondered about when you saw him in the starting lineup. Would he be able to cope with that? But he did it well. So yeah, Jorginho I gave an 8. Xhaka I gave an 8 as well. That block from Granit Xhaka to deny Joe Willock was just something very, very special. It just looked a certain equaliser. How he got there in time, I have no idea, but he did. Really good performance. Xhaka was bang up for it. There was lots of times when he thought, oh, is he gonna go over the edge here and get himself sent off, because it could have happened, but he didn't. He kept himself just on the right side of it. There was a top performance from him, so he gets an 8. Martin Odegaard, I gave my man of the match. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I gave him 9 out of 10. Just a top performance from an absolutely top player. When Arsenal needed their captain to step up in that first half when they're under pressure, he did it. He scored the goal. He set the tone, and as he has done all season, just a brilliant performance from Martin Odegaard. 9 out of 10, my man of the match. The 3 forwards, I gave 7 to each of them. Saka, Martinelli and Jesus. They did not stop working. It was a tireless performance. They got kicked all over the place. They kept going. Martinelli got the assist for the second goal. Certainly Martinelli and Saka should have scored themselves. Jesus didn't really have a sighted goal himself, but he did cause a lot of problems, and it was a tireless performance from him. So I gave them, all 3 of those, 7. I gave Tierney 7. The other subs who came on I didn't really mark. Partey, Trossard, and then Nelson and Nketiah came on right at the end, so I'm not going to give them a mark. And for Mikel Arteta, it was a fantastic day. He stuck with Jorginho, he stuck with Kivior. Both produced excellent performances, and he would just be so proud of his team, as he said afterwards, because this was a really difficult test, and they knew they had no room for error. If they wanted to stay in this title race, they had to come here and win today, and they did it, and they did it very, very well, with a top performance and a very battling performance as well, and they deserve an awful lot of credit for it. Let me know what you guys think, as always, in the comments below. How happy are you feeling tonight? Let me know, and have a very good end to your weekend. From St James's Park, it's finished Newcastle 0, Arsenal 2.